All right, let's go for our second and final panel, focusing on the subject of collaboration. As I said just at the end of the last panel, which was more focused on Web3 gaming success, if we can define that, based on acquisition and retention. But right now, it's really to capitalize on those guys, those speakers, to actually understand how blockchain is actually giving new innovative ways to collaborate with each other. So super happy to have every one of you. And obviously the first question I will ask to every one of you will be to introduce yourself. So please, if we can start with you, Ray, will be perfect.
Hello, I'm Ray from the Matrix. And currently we are building a Web3 mobile shooting game. It's named Matrix File. Currently we have over 3 million downloads. And I think in this week we will start our flame test. It's a PlayToEarn test. So a lot of game users will participate. And we will open our test accounts to the iOS and Android users unlimited. Yeah, thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Edgar. I'm from Zverse. I'm founder of Zverse. Zverse is an on-chain MMO. So it's a combination of turn-based strategy and more classic MMO experience. We are currently in alpha, planning to launch later this year. Also backed and powered by Treasure. I guess that brings you to you, Hugo.
Sorry about that. I'm Hugo, lead partnerships for Treasure, working with Edgar's and a bunch of other games. We're building a sort of decentralized game publisher, working towards launching our L2 later next month, which some of you may have seen some stuff on Twitter, but that's kind of us in a nutshell.
Hello, Rumi from DMM Crypto by DMM.com. So our company, DMM.com, is as Web2 enterprise. We have 41 million members, and right now we are creating gaming platform with in-house gaming or gaming from other companies, and we also have an entertainment platform later too. And right now we are looking for gaming to have a partnership here. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you very much. I think it's going to be a good conversation because we have a diversity of actors in the space based on what you're doing and based on who you are as well. So to explain collaboration, it will be super interesting. And the same way I started the last panel, it will be the same for this one with a very simple question based on how do you think specifically that blockchain is bringing new ways to collaborate? I was talking about that as an introduction, but based on what you do, what will be the best way to put that way? So I don't know if you want to start, Ray.
Can you repeat the question?
So the question is how blockchain is bringing new ways to collaborate in terms of collaboration. How you see blockchain as a technology to help the collaborative aspect?
First, if you look at the collaboration in the Web2 games, actually it's unfair when a game to collaborate with the IP because the IP holders will never get the real data of the sales of the games. So the Web2 games always keep all the collaboration data secret. For example, when the Tencent collaborates the Xbox, he will never get the details of the users and the user payment. He will never get the data. But the blockchain in the blockchain game, I think all the collaboration will become explicit because the orders, maybe majority of the sales will be on chain, and the IP holders can get part of the revenue sharing from all the collaborated products. So it's kind of I think it will facilitate the more Web3 games and the IP holders to collaborate on based on the blockchain technologies.
That's pretty good take. I see like collaboration and blockchain when it comes into play on like two different ways. So obviously one is how we can integrate and collaborate with different projects and different brands. We've done it a few times in the past with some of our friends from the Beacon and other Treasure Eco games. So when we created these things, we basically enabled all these player communities to receive like some special treatment, some special experience inside the Zverse. On the other hand, what I think is even more important is what ways it enables players to collaborate with each other. And because we are like MMO, we have like a plenty of different things for players to do. And one of things I'm passionate about and I'm like following for a while is the way how players basically trade with each other. And we have created like a bunch of different interesting things such as in-game exchange, which basically means that players can play like a small portion in like a small role in economy, and they can contribute to much wider audience with what they do. And other people actually find that quite valuable. And that creates, I would say, interesting kind of community where there are many different groups who collaborate with each other. We've seen like our own in-game like clans assigning tasks. So we have like the gatherers. So the guys are who going out and farming resources and bringing the guild leaders who then kind of turn these resources into something more valuable, and then they give back to the community. So I think it just opens up many interesting ways, and it's up to the developers, up to the project owners to figure out a way how to use that, because possibilities are almost endless.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think for me, it's probably two major things. There's open sourcing of data and information. That can be used in a number of different ways. It can enable new protocols, new systems to evolve. Putting things out into the open instead of being safeguarded and protected by Web2 developers is just such an enabler, I think, from a collaboration perspective. And I think incentives is the other thing. I think we're in the early innings of how incentives can be used, and we've seen some unsustainable approaches to date. But I think all of the users that exist in Web3 right now, and a lot of the ones to come and will be onboarded in the next little while, are due to incentives, and aligning incentives can be really powerful from a collaboration perspective.
Okay, so I agree with them too. Well, I have two new ways for the collaboration. And first one is about the collaboration as between platformers. So as a platformer, so as you Web2 world, maybe they have to hold the customer in their community. But like for the Web3, like we think it's better to have a collaboration with them, like sending the users each other, and like the Web3 user is kind of small market right now, so it's better to have a collaboration as sending users each other. And also the second thing is about NFT. So it's kind of like everybody knows, but because of NFT, we can sending the in-game assets to another gaming tool. So usually you can use your IP or your gaming skill only one game, but the users can use the assets to another gaming too. So it's also one of the new way of collaboration at Web3.
Awesome, thank you guys. I think Hugo, to come back to you, because you already touched on some points I wanted you to mention based on the question, what will be the key factors for success in defining a collaborative culture? Because I'm following you guys since quite a bit, and the vision is always about how we make game developers involved in the same ecosystem, and how they could rely on each other based on the game they are building. So I wonder if they come to you because they know that, or they come to you because obviously you're providing the infrastructure and you're building a culture within Treasure, which makes it very easy for every one of them to see what they could do with each other.
Yeah. So for us, I think it starts. A lot of the onus is on us as the publisher, the ecosystem, the custodian of the Treasure ecosystem. It really starts with being very curated and deliberate about who we choose to work with. So Edgar's is one of our teams. We've got 10 odd others, and I think a big part of our due diligence process is assessing founders and their ambitions for working in the space. Do they share values with us? Can we see them being successful within the Treasure ecosystem? We're not some open, permissionless environment right now. We will get to that point over time, but at the moment, we have a deliberately curated ecosystem. So that's probably step one, just making sure that we're choosing the right teams that want to build with others, want to open up network effects with other games, and don't want to just build in a silo. From there, I think it comes down to providing really good tooling and infrastructure that enables collaboration and enables cross game player loops to actually take place and evolve. So for us, account abstraction, a shared identity system that traverses the entire ecosystem and doesn't just live in one game and one database is really important. And we've seen some of the organic network effects that have been created on the back of that, where players actually go and experience other games. We've got a lot of players in Zverse from the Beacon, for example, because they've done some interop stuff. And I think you start to see those effects take hold. I think looking into the future, the challenge for us is going to be how do we not lose that culture as we go permissionless and open up the ecosystem. But those have been the key points for us.
So you talk about that a little bit, but without mentioning Zverse, because we have Edgar's with us. But if you could mention a specific collaboration you were really excited about between the different games you have, what would be your example?
Yeah, I think the Beacon is a really exciting one. We saw some other IPs take character, I guess, as bosses at the end of dungeons. So that's been really cool. I think we've got a first-party IP called Bridgeworld, and it's essentially a token-based economy game where players guild up and compete for emissions of magic, which is our token. We've seen harvesters take place in multiple games, and going back to Zverse, they actually plugged the harvester directly into their Unity engine, and players are able to interact with it from directly within the game client itself. So that was really cool. That was very composable with magic. People were collecting parts from the Zverse game, which would buff their own emissions or deteriorate the emissions of other guilds. And you just see like a lot of PvP sort of stuff happen, and a lot of angry people, which I think is really good from an attention perspective as well.
Awesome, thanks. Ray, you're building an ecosystem focus on entertainment, focus on gaming, AI, esports as well. So question will be on my side, how can you successfully build these platforms about entertainment that drive growth, because we're talking about growth in our conversation across different verticals that you have. So again, AI, gaming, and esport.
Actually, if you want to make achievements in these three verticals, it's really difficult. But first, you have to build kind of a PvP game. Kind of PvP game have a comparable quality to the leading Web2 games. It costs a lot. But for the AI part, in a PvP game, you can take the match 5 for example. The new gamers can play with the AI teams in the low ranking matches. But in the high ranking matches, you have to play with the players with more skills. And second is that the esports. Actually, the Web3 esports is really difficult to build. If you look at the Saudi championships, the esports championships in the Saudi, there's a bunch of big games that there's a very limited genre for the esports games, such as mobile shooting games, car game, sports game, or strategy, World of Warcraft strategy game, or action game like Street Fight. So actually, if you talk about the esports audience, they have kind of fixed certain watching behaviors. The watching behaviors that rely on a certain genre. You cannot let people to watch casual games to do some esports. It's important. Actually, if you go to the market, if you talk with the esports audience, it's impossible. But luckily, we have a mobile shooting game that the people can create a mobile shooting game content, and also the people love the excitement in the tournament content that created by our community matches. But still, we have still to polish the product that it can be really good, especially in the hand of pro gamers. It takes a lot of several months for us to upgrade our product to achieve that. But in future, I think both AI and esports are our main strategies to explore our potential users. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
it all comes to the competitive aspect of what you're doing. So to tie everything and everything you're doing in terms of AI, gaming, and esports. So I get it. Thanks. Coming back to Zverse, how do you envision the collaboration between your players? How do you make it make things exciting for them to actually collaborate with each other?
So I think I kind of already touched that on the first question, but what guides us is pretty old game theory. It's called the Bartle taxidermy. It basically states that all the players in MMOs can be split into 4 quadrants. Basically, those quadrants are killers, competitors, explorers, and socializers. It doesn't necessarily mean that each player can be put only in one of these quadrants, but it kind of gives the idea of what the player will be focused on. And if you think about this, it's kind of like how our societies are working. Because when we're looking on the blockchain games, where we have real economies, liquid economies, where we have a social groups, it doesn't necessarily differentiate that much from what we have in the real world. So obviously we'll have players who will specialize in certain things. For us as developers, it's important to understand these things and empower them. So whenever we are looking on a roadmap for next 3 months or next three years, we're always thinking what will each of these groups will be able to get. Because the thing is, when you balance these things right, you actually make a really healthy and non-toxic environment for players to thrive. And we already see that. We have these groups of people who really want to dig deep inside a metagame. They may not have large wallets with $1,000 worth of assets, but they are still accepted in the groups owned by these large whales because they are bringing in knowledge. They are going through the docs, they're experimenting, they're trying to crack down the code to basically figure out what's the current meta. On the other hand, we have large groups of farmers who enjoy the part where they're making a few dollars per day. They're okay to sell these assets to the more I would say rich player who, on the other hand, have more liquidity, less time. And it kind of creates these all interconnections between the groups. But I think the framework is still based on these quadrants. And it's important for any MMO to actually understand what makes, I would say, society healthy. And this is pretty much how we view it and essentially realize these things in our game. Yeah. So.
That's interesting because based on what you just said, it means that you segment the type of players you have, so the 4 types you said, based on the on-chain data that you could see, and based on that you see how they could collaborate with each other?
It's the measuring is not that easy. We obviously see some key metrics which allows us to put in players inside a group. For example, if we see people are chatting, players who are chatting very often, these guys may be socializers, so they really enjoy the social content. We see players who don't really care about PVM content, but they're they get super competitive when it comes about beating other players. It automatically means, these guys will really want to thrive and kind of be on #1 leaderboard. It means so much to them. Then we see players who actually don't care about who they win, who they kill. They just care about winning. So we can get these small data points. The more users we have, the more precise we get. But still, a lot of these things kind of comes from the gut feeling. Kind of when you are inside a community, when you get the vibe, when you get the idea of what players need, then I guess you can understand which things are not that well balanced. But yeah, data plays a big role. That's for sure.
Super interesting. Thanks. Rami, so talking about DMM, because DMM is actually the DM2 verse, but also the Seamoon protocol, so SMP. How do you capitalize on these two to help your partners collaborate with each other?
So as a collaboration with gaming studio, we just allow them to be on their chain, and we have the chain, but we just let them be there and having a collaboration by sending the users each other. This is a strategy. And let me clarify about SMP is our token, and DM2 Burst is L2 on OSS. And also we will have the tokens SMP will be on Ethereum, and we will have DeFi system soon, and it's gonna be on Optimism. And we connect all three chains with target of layer 0. And if the gaming from other companies is having a collaboration with us, so we connect them with layer 0 and have connection with us. And yes. So like there are like many gaming studio which also have a platform too. So there's no way to like be competitive with each other, like to have the gaming there. So we want to be more open and make the ecosystem more bigger.
Nice, thank you. Coming back to you, Ray, because I want to quote you. Everyone will be proud to claim we co-create, we own. That's what you say in your website. So can you explain a little bit, how do you build an ecosystem using Web3 so users can actually value co-creation above everything else?
Okay. Just one point I want to mention that actually I'm a big fan of World of Warcraft. And there's only 1 month for the 20 years anniversary of the World of Warcraft. I really like it. Actually, I think maybe the MMORPG really creating a digital society. Yeah, I really want there's any company can achieve that kind of great things. For us, actually, but the metric for metric file is kind of based on another thing. Is that it's kind of weapon skin trading. For the CS:GO, you can see that it has been around for also 20 years, around 20 years. So a lot of people that they love the trading the weapon skins, and there are a lot of cultures, a lot of different cultures that build on the weapon skins. Some people they just not trade it for money, but they just love it. They love the weapon skins. They want to collect it. Yeah. This is important. Before that, you have to build a good game that you can really let more people to play it. You should have a bigger user basis, and you should let the community trust that you can run the platform or run product for a very long time. So this is a value you are creating when you are building the platform. So we are kind of we want to build a kind of a mobile shooting game product. The first is the Metro File. The second is Metro Battle. Metro Battle is kind of a battle royale. So we want to build we want to move maybe learn from the CS:GO. So the people, but the core is different. That we can build more the weapon trading markets with our third-party partners based on the blockchain technologies. So they can trade the weapon skins very freely, and they also for second phrase that we can open our weapon editors to all the communities that they can design their own weapon skins based on a kind of a picture that can generate it from the AIGC. So they can for all the creators or communities, they can come and to create their own weapon skins. So we can vote in the communities that they can share the revenues. We can be monetized. For example, the first the 100 weapon skin winners can be put into monetization of the next seasons. So we want to empower the creators and the communities to participate in the whole process of the creation of the individualized the weapon skins. So this is what we want to do. That we really want the players, Masters 5 players or Masters Battle players to not just trading the weapon skins, but to own it, to like it. Yeah.
Thank you. I am. I didn't expect to ask that question, but based on what you just said, especially you, Edgar, and you, Hugo, I asked the question before for the panel before about token. Do we really need a token? Like, it's kind of the common question we see everywhere, but because we the focus was on acquisition retention. It was interesting to talk about that. But based on what you said around token as a way, and the treasure token as a way to incentivize people to work together, but also on your side for the Zevers, for the liquid aspect of the token. Everyone should rely on a token to actually incentivize people to collaborate? Like it's the main block for people to collaborate with each other, not talking about players, but I'm talking about game developers. How do you feel about that? Should we be tied to a token to incentivize people to collaborate with each other? Don't know who wants to take that one.
Okay, I can go. So I guess, do we really need a token? That's a really important question to ask for any game developer, because if the answer is maybe, then most likely you don't need a token. For Zevers, it was a pretty important question on day one, and we actually spent a lot of time thinking of the ways how we can build a game which cannot be built without a token. And I think we kind of figured it out. And right now, what we see, we have like a two-game token. We have a V token, which is more like game token. Think of like SLP, but with fixed supply. And we have a Zevers governance token, which is going to be listed sometime late this year. When it comes to in-game token, it definitely serves the means of exchange. So one pretty cool thing we did together with the Treasure is we built the first game exchange. So any player right now can walk up to like NPC, click on him, and it will pop up in-game decentralized exchange where players can swap any resources they find inside the game directly on the chain without leaving app. And all of the liquidity is provided with our in-game token. So that basically means whatever you do, whatever resource you find, there is always instant liquidity available. And what it does, it essentially starts to build a trust. And when you have like some level of trust being built, that basically empowers players to actually start investing. And I mean, not only by investing like liquidity, but they're also start to invest the time they start to build like some structures, some social structures around that. So I think the token is a mean to connect multiple different communities, multiple different groups, because it just makes it way, way easier. And it would be hard for, let's say, some farmer to trade with some whales if there wouldn't be a token which offers like instant liquidity for whatever they do inside the game. So yeah, it's kind of like a fabric which helps to connect all these different groups inside one like solid experience.
I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all equation, and I know that if there's any VCs in the room, you probably want to have tokens everywhere, but I think it comes down to a lot of factors. I don't think that tokens should be pure rewards. I think tokens should be carefully emitted and hard to earn in a lot of instances, and economies that just run wild are just not sustainable. And we've seen countless examples of these sort of charts. If the token is an instrument to speculate on, then it might be good for a short-term attention cycle. But if you think about the reason that a lot of games have tokens, it's as a medium of exchange, it's to denominate trade and commerce and whatnot in the game. And if a token is designed to be a value accrual token, but it's a medium of exchange, then it's not going to work. So I just think that teams have to be very careful about designing the economy, designing the token, probably have very carefully crafted faucets and a lot of sinks for it to be used in the game, and also have many other monetization models to make sure it's sustainable.
It's difficult questions. I'm not sure how I can answer, but the token may be needed for the business side. So to make in a community for our company, maybe it's needed. Like we need token, and we give that contribution to the community with token. Maybe it's needed, but like as an open, try to be open for the business with other companies. Maybe we don't have to have token as like on their own. Like we can connect with many token each other maybe, and have a more transparent, more like open base, like connection with other token might be good. Yes.
I think from my view that if the Web3 game should be built on the NFT, because if you look at the total sales of the Web2 game every year, it's about for the game items it's about $150 for annually. It's huge that if only 5% of the game item sales can be transferred into game assets or just say the game NFT, the market is huge. So I think this is maybe a trend, but. But for the current situations, if you look at the World of Warcraft, you still can use you can buy the gold in the World of Warcraft, but it's not solely highly liquided, because it didn't rely on the liquidation of his currencies, because he has built on 20 years content. So people are in the World of Warcraft that they buy in the armors, they're playing. That's playing experience the content, different content from PvE or PvP content. So they don't rely on the exposure of the Warcraft currencies. But for nowadays, if you look at the Web3 game industry, actually the total Web3 gamers are not big. The total numbers are not big, maybe several millions. Actually, it's not enough for the Web3 game industries to go up. So so when we design the Web3 game, we have to build the kind of tokens inside. As for us, we have fire tokens and max tokens. Max tokens is kind of representing the platform value, but the fire tokens is crucial. Is the core of our max-verified PlayToEarn. When the people they can use our avatar to play to earn. They can generate the fire tokens. So it's obviously when the fire tokens prices increases, so their yields will be increased. So this kind of advertising or more exposures from the exchange or the token trading. So this is a kind of new exposures that you can bring the users not into your ecosystems. So. So it should be carefully crafted. It should be in a balance. But I think the basic logic about why we use the fire tokens, not just the NFT, is we have to maintain its liquidation, and also we can get the extra exposures from the traders. Yeah.
Thank you. So actually, it's my biggest fear of today actually happened, which is because I see some of the mics actually run out of battery. So we're going to try to make it into the end, but just maybe we will need to switch our mic at the end. But going on with the other question we have. Here you go. No, I'm here. SocialFi. Obviously, we're talking about ways to collaborate with each other. And SocialFi is not going to the moon as we all expected, but gaining a lot of traction. So I don't know if, for a lot of different reasons, and not so much tied, in my opinion, into gaming specifically, but I would love to have your opinion on that. If you see SocialFi to be something we should, as an industry, so blockchain gaming, rely on. One, two. Yeah, so thanks a lot. So should we rely on SocialFi? I'm going to be very, very quick.
I think answer is yes. We still have to figure out a way to do that. I have a pretty strong background in Web2 gaming, and what we learned pretty quickly is that having a social layer inside the games strongly benefit the retention curves, the engagement. And the thing is, if you're, just think about it. If you're a player, at some point you will get frustrated by the game. You may get bored by the game, but you still have like your friends, your community inside a game. And these will be the guys who will be calling like, yo, where are you? We need to go and do this thing XYZ. And you will be loyal to your friends, you will be loyal to your social circle inside that game. So like a lot of games, it's kind of like a norm right now. We don't even think about this as something like unusual. Like in any like a mobile game, in any like game at all, you can like add your friends, you can play together. That's like a norm. And I think what we have to still figure out is how to add like social factor inside the games. There are a few things which we are working on right now that kind of is tied more to our release like next year, which will enable like landowners to create their own like social hubs where players can then contribute by like deploying liquidity, having some like mechanics inspired from friend tech. So I think we're gonna definitely try to build like a strong social file layer inside the Zverse. If not us, then definitely someone will figure out a right way to do it. But yeah, I think it will play a big role, because when the game won't be able to attract and hold like that TVL, that liquidity, your social circle will be. And the faster we understand that, like the TVL is kind of like retention in a protocol. So SocialFi has all the means and all the chances to basically improve that and kind of turn the whole experience into, yeah, basically bring it to the next level. So yeah, that's my take.
I don't really have a strong opinion either way on this. I think it's obvious that SocialFi is going to be a fast-growing consumer vertical within crypto. I don't think we've seen any protocols or apps that are interesting yet. I didn't use FriendTech. I haven't used Top Fantasy or Fantasy Top. There was nothing that was compelling to me, but I do think that the social layer in gaming and extensively SocialFi on its own has a ton of legs. I don't think that printing tokens for nothing is the right approach, but I'm really, really excited to see innovation in the space. The thing that Edgar's referred to in Zverse is going to be super interesting as well. I think blending the mechanic of a bonding curve and these sort of things with gameplay is super, super fascinating, and we'll see some really cool guild stuff emerge off the back of that. I think like the other thing is that region-specific sort of GTM for games can be heavily tied into the SocialFi. So I think like what we've seen from the Ronin ecosystem, they've done a lot in that space, more so in the gaming, not necessarily branded as SocialFi, but we've seen a lot of SocialFi experiments within those games. And I think the two can kind of coexist pretty well together.
I also have the same opinion. So it's yes. So it's valuable to have a collaboration with SocialFi, because the gamer loves to play as yourself, but also they want to play game together too. So it's point out that we need a collaboration with SocialFi. And also I have a connection with doing the Web3 matching applications protocol. And they also want the gaming on their side too, because their community can be more active because of the gaming connection too. And also our community for gaming can be more active with the matching with people, more out of transaction there. So we haven't planned to have a collaboration with them, but we will, I guess.
I'm gonna try. We'll see if I'm quick enough. Last question for you. I feel like that's my feeling. Maybe I'm the only one, but looking at I like to go after the different topics we're gonna have at the main conference and see what kind of trends we should expect and what kind of takeaways. And I feel like a lot of topics will be about onboarding players, game developers, but onboarding. I feel like it's so much like a 2023 topic. But I would like to have your opinion on that. Should we actually care about that topic again? Or is it still a hustle to actually onboard people from the gaming ecosystem, whether it's gamers, players, game developers? So we'd love to have your take on that.
Yeah, I can kick off. I mean, distribution is all that matters at the end of the day. I think the tech is going to catch up over time, and it's rapidly progressing. We're seeing a lot of account abstraction, and the user experience is going to get a lot better quickly. Distribution matters a lot. good content matters a lot. This is what's going to trigger distribution and kickstart it. So onboarding, I think, in a silo by itself is probably not enough. It's really a broader distribution topic that I think should be the key focus.
Sorry, can you say the question again? I didn't get it well.
Onboarding game developers, onboarding players. It has been a massive conversation at the beginning of this year, last year, because it's difficult to onboard players and game developers as well. And we're still talking about that, although I have the feeling that we did improve a lot of things in terms of infrastructure and games. So what do you think about that?
You mean like Web2 gaming to Web3 users? I'm sorry.
Onboarding players and game developers. How do you do?
Thank you about that. Okay, yeah. So as our protocol, our in-house gaming is coming from Web2. Web2 used to be Web2 gaming, and we are converting Web3 gaming. So, and also the IP is kind of cute girls IP. So this kind of IP has a fan of a character. So if we make it as a Web3 gaming, the user can follow to the Web3 gamer. So this is the kind of strategy. So I think if we just broadly make gathering Web2 users, Web3 user, it might be difficult because they feel afraid to be token. So maybe we can focus in more fit users to bring in to Web3.
I think if it's you are building a casual game or kind of a mini game, I think a Tom and or Telegram system will be good because Tom, I think he has kind of 100 million users, and I think I have seen the advertising data, and I think maybe 20% of the audience are crypto. This actually is very high. So if you want to, for the mini game, I think the developing cost is not high. But if you want to build to onboard just the Web3 users, you can try the Tom systems. I think there's a lot of successful projects that are building the kind of a bot or kind of mini games on Telegram. I think it's workable. Yeah, I think maybe next year there will be more the mini game or web game developers will try. On the Tom system. I think another benefit of the Tom is that you don't have to build your own ID systems or to customize the user's assets because you can use Tom or his wallet to achieve that. Actually, it lowers your developing cost. But for kind of individual app game or kind of PC game, I think you have to build a high quality game comparable to the Web2 Web2 games. If you don't do that, you cannot to acquire users. Use them actually for us. We buy a lot of traffic from the Facebook and Google. Actually, for this kind of Web2 systems, it has a high requirement for your game. If your game is not good, the cost will be very, very high. So, but another thing is that I want to say that if you build such kind of, you have to use the kind of combine the Web2 and Web3 payment systems. Actually, honestly say the Web2 gamers are I think the total volume is not so big. So you have to if you have your confidence with your game qualities, you have to try to onboard more Web2 gamers and because nowadays you see the policies from the Apple that you can buy the NFTs with your fiat payment currencies. Yeah. So actually, the regulations on the people on all the people that buy NFTs use fiat currencies is not so severe. So for most countries, it's illegal. It's illegal. So I think nowadays there will be new payment infrastructure come out that they can help the gamers, help the Web3 projects to onboard Web2 gamers through the legal payment systems. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone, every one of you, every one of the speakers we have today to dig into hopefully the topic entirely or maybe a big part of it. Hope you enjoyed. And yeah, thanks again for the speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you.